In his writings and speeches, Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion expressed his vision for the state of Israel as a moral and social beacon to the world. And the menorah was selected as the emblem of the state of Israel, depicting it as a light unto the nations, or legoyim. In just a few nights from now, we will each produce light through the flame of our Rosh Hashanah candles. You might observe that the moment the taper candle lights another wick, there is a spark that is briefly more intense than that of the first solitary candle. The transfer of energy is unique in that the original candle doesn't weaken when sharing its light. It gains momentum. And so this evening we are blessed to host Rabbi Hanniel Levenson as our guest preacher, a veritable shamash of energy. Rabbi Levenson is the New York Director of Development for Impact Israel, which, as you heard, supports education for at-risk Jewish youth from around the world. In my opinion, Impact Israel's work is the very epitome of Ben-Gurion's vision of a moral and social beacon, or Goyim. Hanniel Levenson was born in Haifa and raised in New York City. In addition to being an ordained rabbi, he is also an artist, surfer, and yoga teacher. Rabbi Levenson studied religion and art at NYU and holds a Master's of Science in Environmental Policy from Bard College, and received his rabbinical ordination from the Academy for Jewish Religion. Prior to his role at Impact Israel, he served as the senior rabbi at Congregation Mount Sinai in Brooklyn Heights and at the Jewish Center of the Hamptons. Please join me in warmly welcoming Rabbi Levenson to our Shabbat service.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Cantor. Thanks, Rabbi. It's an honor to be here, to be celebrating Shabbat with you. What a sacred place to be together. So I experience time as a sacred spiral. The Jewish tradition gives us these touch points throughout the year that are called holidays in this spiral. They remain the same, and it's we who change from year to year. So this time is a bit hectic and a bit tumultuous, and high holiday preparation is both joyous and exhausting. So I remember that when I became a rabbi a little over 11 years ago, I was blessed with joining the Jewish Center of the Hamptons in East Hampton as the Associate Rabbi and Director of Education. So one of my high holiday rituals was to drive out to the lighthouse in Montauk and surf. So being in the ocean is a mikvah moment for me. It's both cleansing and connecting, and the surf was added play. So I would look to the lighthouse as my point of reference, right? Standing upright and unwavering, just a point of reference if the currents got rough for me. So for me this year, the lighthouse motif is my central point of spiritual reference. Standing upright, unwavering. In Hebrew, a lighthouse is called a migdal or, a tower of light. So as this high holiday cycle spiral begins, it's an opportunity for me to think about this image of the lighthouse, of the migdal or, with its light shining outwards, and ask myself, who was I last year? Who am I today? And how do I want to move forward? So this week we have a double Torah portion, which provides for me a beautiful example of how I am standing here today and how I want to go forwards. So the names of our two Torah portions are Nitzavim, literally meaning standing upright, and Vayelech, to go. And together, they offer us a verbal cue, how we want to stand and how I want to move forward. This is what a Migdal Or, a lighthouse, does. It stands upright and it shines out, directing us on how to go forwards. So after 11 years as a pulpit rabbi, I decided to pivot, and there was a new position as the New York City Director of Development for Impact Israel, and so I joined. I used to say that being a rabbi, you major in spirituality and you minor in fundraising, but now my role has flipped. And being a competitive gymnast for over 15 years, flipping is nothing new to me. As part of the Impact Israel team, it is our endeavor, our ambitious and critical endeavor, to provide healing for all at-risk youth in Israel, to heal the next generation through education. And so when I began my work at Impact Israel, the Israeli government said that there were 400,000 at-risk teens in Israel. Teens. After October 7th, that number has increased dramatically. And so my mission, our collective opportunity here in New York City, is to build community to support our children in Israel, to make sure that they are provided with all the healing tools that they need to become whole adults. Healing tools that include psychotherapy, group therapy, mentorship, art therapy, drama therapy, sports therapy, just to name a few. And so we do this work through two separate but equally vital channels. In the north, we have a youth village called Emanu-El, and I know that some of you in the community have visited before. At Emanu-El, we have over 400 kids coming from 20 different countries, living and learning together in formal and informal education. So Emanu-El began over 70 years ago as an orphanage for Holocaust survivors. And today, it stands as a Migdal Or, a tower of light for at-risk youth in Israel. To visit Emanu-El is to witness the best of Israel, or what Dr. Chaim Perry, our director emeritus of Emanu-El, calls Amiyut, peoplehood. Teens coming together, living and learning side by side from every corner of the earth to start a new life in Israel. This must be what it felt like when our state was founded. Im tirtzu ein zo agada, if you will it, it is no dream. In 2006, when the Israeli government saw how wonderful our educational methodology called the Village Way was, they asked us to bring it to the 800 schools across Israel whose student bodies included at-risk youth. And so today, we've reached 44,000 teens, worked with 3,600 educators, 85 schools, and counting. Every school that we reach and educate in the Village Way becomes a Migdal Or, a tower of light in Israel. This is what the Village Way educational methodology, the experience, is all about. It is a grassroots movement that from the depths of where we stand today rises up and lays the foundation for a future society. It's all about believing in and making manifest an Israel that is inspiring, inclusive, compassionate. It is at its core about tikkun olam, healing, mending, repairing the world. So at this moment, I look to our Torah portion for a little guidance, and the beginning of our Torah portion is a roll call. It says, "You are all standing here this day, nitzavim, before Adonai your God, the leaders of your tribes, your elders, your officers, every person of Israel, your young children, your women, and your convert who is within your camp, both your woodcutter and your water drawer, that you may enter into this covenant of Adonai, your God, and this covenant, this brit, which Adonai is making with you today. So these are the very words that I use every time I officiate a baby naming ritual. It calls everybody present as we welcome in a new soul into our community. A brit is a sacred commitment, a sacred covenant. In this case, I'm referring to the commitment to Tikkun Olam. For Impact Israel, this means we commit to every child, every at-risk child having a guide, a mentor, a teacher, who stands by their side, nitzavim, and believes in them, becomes a migdal or for them, a tower of light, who helps transform past traumas into points of resilience, who teaches them the ability to dream, who supports them through tikkun halev, healing of their heart, and guides them through tikkun olam, community projects, where these teens shift from being the needy ones to the needed ones. It takes a village, a community to do it. A community that promises to be with them all the way, vayelech. And so the last time I stood on this bima, nitzavim, I was with Dotan Levy, the current director of the Village Way Institute. He sat in the chair over there. I held his hand. And there's a great picture. I got to send it around for us to see. You see, Dotan and 30 of our Village Way educators came to New York City to learn from us, from American Jewish educators. And being a lifelong learner, I tagged along to listen. Dotan and each one of our educators are committed to this healing work. And when I visited Yamin Ord and our Village Way schools in March, it was humbling and inspiring to see these educators, most of them coming right out of reserve duty, to be so present with our kids in the middle of a war. And so I believe we have a lot to learn from them too. And so as we move through this high holiday period, which begins really tomorrow with the Slichot prayers, I'm asking each and every one of us here to reflect on the brit, the sacred commitment that you want to make, that you will make this year. For me, the brit is to be a migdal or, a tower of light, here in New York City for our kids in Israel. It is a brit that I'm not just establishing today with all of those who are standing here today and our at-risk youth in Israel, but for the generations to come. And each one of us here and in the virtual sphere is a tower of light too, showing the way by first looking inside of our hearts and asking ourselves, what brings us meaning? What is the purpose of our lives? And then, in our own way, doing something meaningful that helps repair this world. When we shine together, we emulate the Ner Tamid. It is the eternal flame. It is the symbol of the eternal presence of the Jewish people and the spirituality that burns within each and every one of us. Lo b'shamayim hi, our text goes on to teach. It's not in heaven. It's not so far off. This brit exists between every educator and every child, each and every one of us here, and it reflects across to Israel. May every at-risk child receive this support, this light. May they have a guide, a migdal or, a tower of light that believes in them, that stands up alongside them, that are with them all the way, that helps them move from trauma to healing. So that each one of those children that we reach in turn becomes a migdal or for the next generation. And that's how it grows. This is the sacred circle of amiyut, of peoplehood, that our Torah portion lists today. It's what binds us all together. So my blessing for all of you, and I hope that you bless me back, is that we each make a brit this year, a sacred commitment, one that aligns with our own individual spiritual practice. For me, that's the sacred practice of bringing healing to at-risk youth in Israel through education. May we also, each of us here, recognize that right now we are a Migdal Or, we are a tower of light for somebody else in our lives. May we remember that. May we expand that light, and may that light reach all those who need it. And may we do it together as one big community. Amiyut. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.